everyone, welcome back. Gosh, it was such a relaxing
Oh my
break
God.
and rest, man. I don't know about you, but whew.
It was
Ryan,
not relaxing. Like,
I
it's
know.
football. I mean, granted, and I mean, shit. I'm even wearing the softball. It's fall softball season. My Saturdays are eaten up by softball. My Sundays are now eaten up by football. There's no relaxation. There's no rest for the wicked. And yeah, but golf is back, and it'll be a little sporadic outside of December. But there are some stretches where there's 3 or 4 weeks in a row where there will be golf, and then there's like 1 week off. But yeah, the Fortinet, kind of a weird situation. Do you want to try to handle this, or should I? What is the fall season now? Because the season used to go from September to August. I had to try to explain this to somebody. They want to go from January to August and then have the second, the swing season. So now they said, well, the season doesn't start in September, it starts in January. So this September through December now becomes like it exists outside of space and time. It's like its own little thing, and it will be important because golfers who are inside the top 50 at the end of things will get into those elevated events automatically. So
Yep.
a lot of guys who are in that kind of 51 through 150, these are going to be important events for getting into some of those big fields next year. Getting to play at the good tournament instead of going to Myrtle Beach or having to go to the Bahamas or having to go, Barbasol, some of these alt event, which hopefully, again, they keep doing more of that. But these are going to be important events. And the most important thing is we're going to bet on them because there's betting lines.
That's what it comes down to. That's why we're here. We will continue to be here, Andy and I, in this space. We will not have betting content for you. Won't have written content for me on the site, but Ron, PGA Splits 101, our guy who does all of the majority of our heavy lifting content-wise, will be churning out all that he's doing. Same thing DFS-wise. You expect pretty much a normal amount of content over at BetSports Golf. All season. And like Andy said, there's a couple of pockets of weeks off, but for the most part, there's golf to talk about and golf to bet on. So yeah, before we jump into the Max Homa Invitational, the Catalina wine mixer, and figure out what this really is, we have not talked since the Ryder Cup has sussed itself out on both sides. We are a couple weeks away. Again, a fantastic, they're playing in Paris. I don't know if it's a fantastic TV watching experience. It's an event we love. Always difficult to try to find time, especially in football season, how to really watch this thing. Although Sunday's going to be great. Sunday, the Ryder Cup.
The Sunday is perfect. It starts at about 6 a.m.
I try to give my wife a little bit of heads up already. Like, hey,
I'm going to be up early on that Sunday. I'm going to be watching golf till noon and then football till 10 p.m. So honestly, I might
see you Monday.
I might just be in the office for that one. I might just set up the extra monitors here at the office for golf and just like put B-dubs on speed dial. Like, hey, just bring me wings till I stop calling you.
Hey, JT's here. JT is at the Fortinet this week. He had committed to this prior to landing his spot on the Ryder Cup team. I don't know. I never wavered for sure. I know you were kind of locked in towards the tail end. He was going to be on this team.
Yeah.
No one really went out and grabbed it, I guess, to take it away from him down the stretch with some of the other guys that were kind of fighting. You can make the case that, Keegan definitely thought he had a shot, but just, U.S. thoughts on the Ryder Cup team and where that market has moved.
Yeah. They went with the vibes. And like you said, there wasn't some guy there's like 6 guys in that Keegan area, and none of them really made that case. Honestly, you could put Sam Burns in that same kind of group of men, but he had the leg up with Scotty likes to play with him.
He's also on for team vibes.
Yeah. And Scotty is one of the best golfers in the world. Scotty gets his playing partner. Scotty gets his, some people this is Scotty's putter because of his struggles from short. And not that he gets to putt every, it's not how alternate shot works, but he is going to help him out. They do play well as a team. So Burns kind of on that merit, not really using the word merit right on that asterisk. It's not like he's a bad golfer.
He won the match play event, right? He won.
And he's won some events over the past couple of years. He won a car last year. The JT thing too. It's just experience, vibes, friendship, and there's 12 guys. Yeah, he has to play Sunday, but there's not saying you have to play him 4 times. like there's a decent chance he only is in the mix for 3 different points, maybe 2. Who knows what we're gonna roll out here? It's it's not a foregone conclusion that JT's gonna like cost this team everything. Although the funniest outcome is him getting rolled out every session, 0-5, and we lose by like half a point or something. That obviously is funny. In European advantage, they get to set up the course. They know what they like. They know what they have, and their team is very good. The back end, we're talking about the back end of our team. Yeah, our team, the U.S. I wasn't even born here. I'm Team Europe.
I got a European on the wall behind me, so
It was awful hard with all the the patriotism surrounding 9/11 yesterday. It was awful hard to like look at Ryder Cup stuff and still be like, I'm Team Europe. Like you had that little chest full of patriotism. I'd like to see a really good one. I just want to see we've had some bad Ryder Cups over the past how many years in Europe where it's like this wasn't terribly competitive. This was a bad one. I didn't even enjoy Sunday. I want it to be close coming into Sunday. I want all 12 matches to matter. I want it to come down to something fun, at late morning for us. So, and yeah, Nick Palfrey in the chat says, as a European, I was delighted JT made the team. You guys have your Shane Lowry though, which who knows? That guy might just turn it on. He's been good in these events before. He has experience. He's played on a team. Aberg winning. It felt like I had an outright ticket that day. I didn't, but I had the price on him to make the team.
Yep.
And I was cheering for him, so it felt like I had an outright, even though I didn't. But my God, what a Sunday from him! He played great. Outside of some putting woes, Højgaard's played really well. There's been, I guess, Keegan is Adrian Maronk. Probably had a case. And just there was a lot of guys towards the end, and
it was the Bobby Mack auto qualifier that hurt Maronk.
Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't have hated to take Maronk instead of Bobby Mack, but Bobby Mack did pick it up a little in the last 3 weeks, so should be good. I still think this should be about a pick 'em. I think if you wanted to bet into a two-way market, anything with a plus number on either side is good. I'll probably be live trading this one, and it sucks for a betting event though, guys. I hate to say it, especially like Sunday. We don't have this leeway like, hey, I can, I bet on the Dolphins Jets game in week 10 last night because somebody left a lineup. And it's like, I'll take the Dolphins as a dog here.
Love that.
Zach Wilson. You don't have that lead time on this where we know who these matchups are weeks in advance. That'd be cool if they did that. If they had to release the first session matchups like now, oh, it'd be so fun to just hear everybody's opinions and breakdowns on the match play stuff right off the bat for weeks. I would enjoy that, but unfortunately not the case. I still think Europe is a slightly better team. This should be about a pick 'em at maybe even Europe slightly favored, and I guess we'll see. Some really good golfers. I won't watch either of the first sessions on Thursday or Friday because that's at like 2 a.m. I'll catch the second sessions and I'll watch Sunday and right into football.
I probably will. I remember doing it when we were in we're in Rome, when we were in Paris or wherever we were last time. I remember not getting a lot of sleep. So yeah, whatever. It's a fantastic event. That the second rounds of each day makes it tough because that's the one time we really have like sometimes minutes before that first group of the second wave goes out on Friday or Saturday, and that makes it tough. We'll probably have some betting content. Ron will have some stuff on the site. Already has some previews on the site as well. Again, on betsportsgolf.com. Go ahead and check that out. We are got some projects here in the off season as we talk about the Fortinet, but we're trying to continue to make some changes and really find better ways to improve our stat database on the tool. We're going to go through that here and build a model for you today and talk through the Fortinet, which is a fairly straightforward course. Again, like we talked about it jokingly, it's the Max Homa Invitational. He has won the last 2 times. It is a fairly short par 72. It's going to play like a little under 7,200 from the tips, which we don't really see very often nowadays. One of the, I think 8th, 9th shortest on tour. But we've seen a mix of bombers and short hitters have some success here as well. So not a lot of like super key indicators. You do have some short par fours. 8 of the par fours are between 375 and 435. So you have a pretty large, like in comparison to what we typically see on tour, especially in some courses where a lot of the shots on approach are coming from, say, 175 to like 2.25. You got a lot of short wedges here, which is very interesting. And also, you've seen kind of an increase of guys ripping driver over and over again and not feeling like, hey, I'm not really punished from being in the rough here if I miss. And you see, it's hard to hit fairways here anyway. So since everyone's missing fairways, you might as well bomb it down there and give yourself, a close little wedge in. That's why you see pretty substantial greens and regulation numbers here, year over year too. So guys are just hitting wedge in. That's pretty advantageous, which makes it pretty interesting. With a guy like JT, who even through some of these struggles, still pretty awesome from like 125 in. Again, not being able to be punished with spraying it off the tee makes it pretty interesting here as well. Any course notes for you at the top, Andy?
Yeah, like you said, short course, really light on bunkering. I think there's like 50. Really light on water danger. Really light on. I'm just naming all the defenses a course can have, and really light on dog legs. Really light on penal rough. They've, a lot of people said, some of these bombers have been quoted. I can't remember exactly who had the quote, but he said, I don't care if I'm in the rough as long as it goes a long ways. Paraphrasing, like these shots out of the rough aren't that hard. I'm still going to find the green. So I don't mind taking some bombers here. I think that's not a bad course fit if they have good enough irons, especially short irons and wedges. But overall an easy-ish course without a lot of defenses. That's why it is a kind of a resort-ish course. That's why it's using the swing season. And truthfully, we're going to have some fun. We're going to bet some prices we think have some value. But if Max Homa wins this by like 6, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, what's the course fit here? Good golfer. Like when you have these where there's not a good defense, it's honestly like who's going to be at the top of the leaderboard. It is the cream or the guys who just get super hot, kind of around the green or with the putter. Can turn into a bit of a putting contest. So, if your wedges are decent and you're making your birdies, you're just going to fly up the leaderboard. It might just be a trifecta for Max Homa, who has won this twice in a row. 2007 champion Mike Weir not in the field.
You look at the top of the leaderboard last year. So Max actually drove it pretty well for the week relative to some of the other guys in the field. But you look at second, third, and fourth. Danny Willett, 25 out of 56 fairways, 44.5%. Taylor Montgomery came in third. He hit 41.1% of his fairways for the week. Ben On, another bomber, 21 of 56 fairways. Ben On finished T4, 12 under, and hit about 5 fairways per round. But just absolutely, ripped it off the tee. So you just don't really have to. You don't have to mess with that this week. And again, that makes some sense. Why you've started to see that trend in average driving distance here trend upwards. So from a betting board standpoint, look at the odds currently. You mentioned Max, obviously. Round 7, there's some a little higher, a little lower. JT is out to 16 in some spots. It was mostly 14s, which is interesting. Sahith Theegala, people love to bet Sahith Theegala. 16s and 18s on Sahith. Cam Davis playing better down the stretch. Cam Davis is the guy that I went to the well on here last year. 20s, 22s. It's kind of your top of the board. Again, kind of, I think JT and Max especially kind of separating any interest here in going to the top of the board, firing on JT, firing on Max, and then calling it a day.
JT missed the cut at the 3M. I don't there's no reason to bet. There's no reason to bet him at bad numbers still. Like he's like 10-5 on DraftKings. I mean, did something happen? Did he have experimental surgery to fix his brain and his swing? He's still kind of squirrely. That said, some of the issues have been just blow up holes caused by the driver. Not going to see that here. I think he'll be okay, but I'm not betting him at this price. I like Max Homa. I'm not interested in somebody under 10-1, not named Rory, Rahm, or Scotty in a full field event like this. Like Sahith at that price, I don't think I can get behind that either, although I do like the course fit. I'm kind of in that middle range. that's where we live. That's kind of where we live.
Yeah.
Thigala worries me a little bit too down the stretch, just based
Why wouldn't
on,
he? He's so inconsistent.
and yeah, especially closing. If you remember him, was it Waste Management 2 years ago? Or
Yeah. Yep.
it got squirrely. Like if the inconsistency rears its ugly head right at the end when it was him and Scheffler and Schauffele kind of competing for it, that's it's more painful than a guy just missing the cut, man.
Yeah. Again, I've said it before. Next time I talk about Sahith on this show as an outright bet for me will be the first time. I think there's a ton of talent there, but you just can't consistently put it together. There's no rhyme or reason in terms of like a predictable, bankable skill set. Sometimes the irons are awful. He'll get hot with the putter. Some of his best finishes have been like just those backdoor Sunday, 8 under before golf's even on TV. And all of a sudden he's, in the clubhouse inside the top 5, but really didn't taste any smoke at all. As our buddy Jeff Feinberg would say, he's just not really ever in the mix in those things. So yeah, talent long-term, I think he's going to be okay, but he needs to get a little bit more consistent. We didn't talk about this much, but can we share the screen? Can we put up a model? I didn't talk to producer Dan about this ahead of time. He's a professional though. I think of giving him zero notice. If we could put up betspertsgolf.com, bring up our customizable stat database, and we could talk about what do we want to put in here? What do we want to do, Andy? Building models. We've talked about like not double counting, making sure that we're not, overcorrecting or overweighing any one thing. There's a lot of great stats that are in this tool. Sometimes there's some like overlap in stats, and all of a sudden you get a little too heavy. You start to weigh things down. You get a little too granular. It's good to maybe be able to see those things, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to model them properly. We want to kind of help do that a little bit this year for folks too.
Yeah, let me see. Let's talk a little bit more about the kind of golfer we're looking for and what kind of stats we're talking about. That overlap maybe.
Yeah. So one
I wanted to focus on because of what you've talked about. What we mentioned was good drives gained. As I said, like, hey, you're great off the tee. You miss the shit out of the fairway. You're on in 2 anyway. Like if you can consistently do that, I think you're going to be fine at the spot.
Yes. So it gets tricky. I don't even think you need. I mean, you could put distance in if you want to. Some of the cool things that the tool allows you to do is I went and looked at, strokes gained in California. Basically, you can look at strokes gains. Let me see if I can pull it up. You could do strokes gains West Coast if you want to. There's lots of different things to do here. Just, doing this on the fly. We're in football mode, folks. We're shifting, so we have we're not as dialed in as we need to be here. Let me see. We bring up our tool. You go on the site under tools, customizable stat database, and I'm going to build a tool or a model. Get it to load. We're going to do it live.
We are doing it live. So
all right, so it just says here. I'm going to pull up mine.
Okay.
I'm going to share mine because I built one.
Ooh. Yeah, I did some light modeling, opportunities gained, driving distance, good drives gained, approach. Just kind of like, hey, who hits the real high points here? Nothing fancy, nothing too granular. And then just, total strokes gained over like the last 24 and 50 to give me a little bit of a look at the form. I know that's tricky with some guys not playing. It's tough to use form models at this point in the season and at the very beginning of the season, because when you do stuff like that, you're really, really not comparing apples to apples, although form is like that. So when I look at form on somebody, it might be, their last 24 rounds might not include any of the playoffs because they didn't make it. That's going to be a bunch of guys here at the Fortinet. There's a bunch of people here that didn't make the playoffs. That's why they're playing at the Fortinet in September. And at the same time, when we look at Max Homa, when we look at, some other guys, you're going to have a different sample size there. And that's what you end up with, especially at the beginning of the year. That's something I will caution people to put a little more context to when you're in Hawaii, because you're looking at the last 50 rounds for, Matsuyama, he always plays over there. It might be like one swing season event and then the playoffs and stuff. And then some of these other guys that you're playing, obviously not a tournament of champions, but the other one, you might be looking at a bunch of golfers who are, had played a bunch during the swing season.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So here's what I built, and you can see I'm giving away a couple of my bets here.
Zoom in a bit. Scoot that in. Roll the roller ball. Oh, you do it old fashioned like Grandpa.
Dude, I am 43 years old, Andy. We're not rollerballing anything in. All right, and we'll hide this. This will help too. We'll hide the bookmark bar, so you guys don't need to see all that anyway. Here we go. Eric Cole, friend of the show, guy we like to bet on often, came out on the top of the model for me. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a sense of what I tried to do and capture. There's a lot of stuff in here. This is one of the things you can do if you're watching on YouTube. You should, well, if you're not, if you listen to the podcast, it's going to be a tough listen for you. You click on this little icon too, and it gives you a sense of what it actually is. So we are just looking here at just overall approach, last 24 rounds. Approach matters. It's one of the more sticky stats. Want to see how guys are dialed in here. We have strokes gained total. We're looking at par 70s. This is a par 72, so I'm gonna have to filter that out because that's wrong. Ball striking, recent ball striking, again, just short-term form. Strokes gained total, but I'm looking at just the last 24 rounds. Again, baseline skills. Some of that could be redundant, but I just want to see who is playing good golf. Last 50 rounds, this is broken down into guys playing good golf on the West Coast. And, again, unique setups, unique putting surfaces. We want to capture a little bit of West Coast data. I'm doing that here as well. I'm looking at the last 50 rounds of POA. Try to get a big sample of your POA putting splits here. Again, you see, no surprise, Max Homa putting very well on POA. We are also going to look here at, this is your very short to short par 72. Who's playing well and scoring well on short par 72s. Again, I'm going to have to go back in and take out my par 70. That maybe is bumping Eric Cole up a little bit here, but yeah, that's capturing some of that data. Then I'm looking at all of the approach buckets that I talked about being key. Really short wedges from 75 to 125. I'm looking at both fairway splits and rough splits because I think, again, no one's hitting a lot of fairways here, so I want to capture who's also doing really well from the rough when it's close in. I'm giving those very small weights because, again, I'm capturing approach data overall here too. So, again, just kind of breaking those up into small buckets and seeing who's playing well the last 36 rounds from those key approach buckets. So, Eric Cole comes out on top. Max Homa, second in the model. Andrew Putnam, third. Kevin Streelman, interesting, fourth. And Charlie Hoffman, fifth. Top five guys in the model. JT down there at ninth in the model. Heath also in the top 8 as well. Doug Gim, Justin Suh, some shorter guys that can get hot with the putter occasionally. Gim can be definitely wonky with the putter. And Chaz Reeves played some pretty good golf overall leading up into the swing season. So any initial thoughts?
Yeah, you're going to probably run into a bit of a sample size problem with the Charlie Hoffmans of the world. And also just what kind of tournaments he's played in, because it's not relative to field strength on some of this stats. So probably not going to bet Charlie Hoffman. He's 125 to 1. He was a guy you could bet on 4 or 5 years ago. He once got some second places.
There's a few courses for Hoffman that we would still maybe want to back him on blindly. Valero, I believe, is the Charlie Hoffman Open historically. If you need a T2, that he's there for you. So my two bets in the middle of the board where we like to hang out, or Eric Cole, first in the model, Andrew Putnam, third in the model. Both guys played pretty well down the stretch. Are checking a lot of boxes overall, and kind of like these spots for them. They can also pretty good California putters typically. Though Eric Cole, we don't have a huge sample, again, rookie last year, but Putnam can roll and has had some nice finishes there historically on the West Coast. So where are you at in the middle range? I know where we like to hang out.
Yeah, not too far down the middle, honestly, though. So I kind of am in that second tier. I just said I'm not betting home at that price. Not only just because of the price, but his focus is likely in Rome. I don't know. I know he loves playing in the West Coast. He's the clear class of this field. I just don't know how focused he's going to be on winning the Fortinet when he has his first Ryder Cup to look forward to. That's got to mean so much. I mean, that is right up there with being on an Olympic basketball team, or the great honors of sports where you're representing your country, playing on a team. And it's unique because golf, outside of being on like the Four Aces, there's just not a lot of team kind of events like this. So I hate to go narrative town, but the price is enough to keep me off. The narrative's enough to really keep me off.
Yeah.
And I said I'm going to look at some form. I'm going to look at guys who are at least top third in approach in this field. Driving distance helps, but isn't necessary. Good drives gained is going to be big because, again, if I'm using driving distance in a model, it still has to be somebody who is able to take that second shot and put it on the green no matter where that ends up. Even if he is a little erratic, he's off. And then, just off the tee and opportunities gained. Somebody's got to be, you can double count that with approach a little, but I think opportunities gained is more of a double counting with proximity stats. And I prefer it to proximity stats because proximity has a lack of context at certain places and certain pin positions, honestly. So I ended up going with those and ended up with a couple guys kind of in that second range, like you said. And it ended up being Cameron Davis, who you can get for about 23-1, and Steven Jaeger, the German, at 25. There's a 25 out there that I did find. I do have one long shot, but Cam Davis was a guy who kind of popped, decently for everything. As far as form, my kind of form, long-term, short-term model, he was in the top 10 in the field. He's top 30 here in approach. He's a top 20 driving distance guy here. His good drive gains was high enough that when I mesh it with driving distance, I'm fine. And he has had some good off the tee numbers. Just overall, last 50 rounds, strokes gained off the tee, top 10 here. I know he's not that big of a price, but outside of the top name, and then maybe if JT sorts things out, there's not a lot of guys that fit all of that. Unless you want to go to Luke List, whose form does not get him in the same spot as some other people. And then Jaeger. Yeah, Jaeger is another one. If you kind of look at some of the form numbers, it's been there. He's been okay, especially at some of these, lesser than field events. But I mean, he played pretty well at St. Jude, top 20 at Wyndham. He played decent at the 3M, the John Deere and Rocket Mortgage back-to-back top 15s. Guy just kind of hasn't missed a cut. He hasn't missed a cut since the RBC Heritage in April. And before that, it was 4 straight made cuts before he missed at a elevated event down in Phoenix. I'm trying to look decent here last year, 43rd. I'm not a big course history guy for events like this because it's just kind of a shootout style. Somebody gets hot, has the right form and right play coming in. That anybody with that, and there's like 50 guys like that, can probably win this event. So decent form, matches up nicely on the other stats. Driving distance isn't as good as Cam Davis, but his good drives gained is better. Opportunities gained, proximity approach, etc. That is super high. And again, 12th here in the field and strokes gained off the tee. He's 25. Fine with that.
Yeah, Jaeger third, strokes gained total the last 24 rounds. He's really checking a lot of boxes. They're both, when I'm looking at maybe why they're a little bit lower on mine, they're both getting dinged pretty severely for their POA splits. But that's, again, if you're going to have something where you're like, I'm going to fade something statistically, it's putting samples even on a specific surface. So yeah, like both those plays quite a bit, just baseline ball striking, all the things you laid out there, in decent numbers too. I mean, you're not going super far down the board on Cam Davis, but again, slow start last year. We found out he was sick at the Players when he kind of turned it on there because he was real slow starts in the January, February, but then down the stretch last year started to look like the guy that we kind of thought maybe we were going to see coming into the year. So no problem anytime someone wants to back Cam Davis at a good price. Again, I went to the well here last year on him. I liked him quite a bit, so no problem with that one at all. Good. Who's the bomb?
Chun and Yu.
Okay.
Kevin, my friend Kevin Yu.
Bomber.
Yeah, so that is the thing. Absolutely a bomber. Yep. Approach numbers, opportunity gain numbers, little lower than the other two guys, but pretty decent for a guy who does have the bombing numbers, and not just like, hey, you have good driving distance, but he has good, the good off the tee numbers to go with it. He's taken those drives. He's done well with them. Little spotty on the form, but when he plays well, he plays well. It's like, the sixth miscut, 37th miscut coming in here on the stateside events that he's played in. But, well, actually, one of those was in Scotland. I'm not sure we can take the Genesis Open and make it an analog to anything on the West Coast, but played okay. Missed the cut here last year, and it was putting. It was a very bad putting performance. Lost 6 strokes on the green. Played pretty decent overall. Gained 4 tee to green. At this price, I like him as far as any of the long shots. Like the other long shots that are going to pop up are like Gim, kind of the same thing, but the price isn't as good. Luke List, who I'm just not going to bet. Sam Stevens, about the same price range. Same thing with Ryan Palmer. Like some of those bombs that are popping up, I'm not as excited to back. Whereas Kevin Yu is someone I have, gone to war with before. Maybe that makes a difference to me.
Yeah, you've been in the foxhole with Kevin Yu, and you know how that turns out. So
yeah,
I mean, 9th in ball striking over the last 4 events, so not bad. It again comes down to some pretty tremendously bad POA putting splits for Kevin Yu. But again, the sample, he's not even pulling a full sample here because he has not played that much. So that's
no, and I would think
noisy.
I would think if you're looking at a POA sample with him, it's including this event last year,
right?
Because he hasn't played that much, and like I said, he did not putt well on POA last year.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, some of those other guys I like you mentioned, Gimmons, again, not really qualifying as bombs.
And I did want to say too, like I looked at that, I noticed that, and at the same time, this is not recent. This is February, but it's more recent than last September when he putted like shit here. He did putt okay. He didn't gain a ton. It was like 0.2, but he didn't lose at Pebble Beach. That was a decent. It was a 7th. I didn't think it was that high. He had a decent finish at Pebble Beach. So we've seen him play well on the West Coast as recently as February. Just I don't have a huge sample of it, so I'm not sure if this guy sucks on POA or not. And I'm willing to take a shot at 75 to 1. Bomb.
Like it.
Bang.
2 other guys that are very, very tempting and just for reasons why, if you watch the show a lot or hang out with us, these are not unfamiliar names. Akshay Bhatia is 45.
Can't do it, Ryan. He just got engaged.
Oh,
at like 21, just throwing his life away.
That's a shame.
She seems nice though.
She seems lovely, but that is a awful move in life.
Those are your, especially if you're a professional athlete. Like, don't throw away those years.
Oh, I know. He put her on the bag though. He had no shot of getting out of that.
No, it's tough look. He painted himself into a corner. had to buy that ring. So I didn't stay away for that reason. I just I hated the price.
Yeah.
I'll be cheering for him. Like I am a Akshay Bhatia fan. I just wish that price were a little better. Honestly, the bookmaker numbers finally came up. 48?
I'm seeing 245s in domestics.
48, 40, 50 at Bovada.
Well, yeah, so I didn't even see. So he's 45 on Rivers, which means that he's probably maybe 50 on Rivers with their enhanced market. I have to go in there and check that out.
God damn it. Maybe he got me. He got me.
And I am also a Garrick Higo guy. I like Garrick Higo. I like how he's also extremely streaky, but can hit it a mile and can, just things get white hot for Higo occasionally. He's 55 in some spots. That's another guy that caught my eye that I did not pull the trigger, but, took advantage of 35 on Cole and 45 on Putnam, which I like quite a bit. So I'm not trying to get like super deep on the card with Fortinet, considering where we're at in the betting season. But hey, like to have a little extra sweat to build the bankroll for, football with some wins in the swing season here. So yeah, that's all I got for the Fortinet. We went longer than we thought.
You know what, Ryan? Hold up. I had to do it first in the back end.
Let's go.
You got me. You got me.
You got a 50?
There's a 50 offshore.
Okay.
I mean, mostly it's like 45, 48, 50. But there was 140, which shame on you, Dave, I guess. But maybe they took some action on him. So 50-1. Fuck it. I did look. Like in the stuff I used modeling wise, like his form is fine, obviously, because he has a win fairly recently. His approach game is very good. Off the tee is very good. Driving distance is, 45th in the field over the last 50, which is respectable. He's not a bomber. He's not ever going to be. He weighs 100 pounds. String beans don't hit it 700 yards, but good drives gained, very high. 12th in the field. Hell, we'll take it. 51. Add it. That's my 4.
I love it. Let me see. I have to do it as well. The enhanced number. 50. Enhanced number is 50 on Rivers. So we're getting in as well. And team bet on Akshay Bhatia live on the show. Talked you into it, and I can't talk you into it and not get in. So 50 is still out there. If you have bet Rivers, 45 looks like the best elsewhere. Rivers has the enhanced market because they also offer the ability to go each way and protect yourself a little bit with top 6, top 7 finish. But yeah, click into it. It's not super easy and intuitive to navigate. But yeah, it's out there. So good stuff, my friends.
And I just pulled an oopsie.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, never mind. I did not get quite as good of a price as I thought. I got a 48.50.
Okay, that's not bad.
But I did get a 50-1 on Akshay Bhatia first round leader. So both are in pocket. One was accidental.
Oh, Andy, I got to tell this story.
You can't do an oopsie. Is this a Connor story?
This is a Connor story.
I love that story.
So if my longtime fellow co-host on Move the Line, we do a football show together, Connor Allen, subscribe to Move the Line, 2 episodes a week if you haven't done so. We went to the BMW a couple rounds. Connor went out there with me on Saturday. We were chasing down Victor Hovland all day. Connor bet Hovland to be the leader at the end of round 3 at 100-1, and then also to win outright at 100-1. Well, as we know, Victor Hovland ended up winning the BMW. But Connor fat-fingered it, apparently, and did not actually bet him to win outright at 100-1. He bet him twice to be the end of round 3 leader at 100-1, which he was not. He was like 4 or 5 back. So as I'm celebrating, live on course, it was awesome. Texting other people that I know had outright tickets on Vic, trying to celebrate with Connor because I knew he got 100. He had a big number on it, and he had to put his tail between his legs. And not great. We've been there before, but sorry, Connor.
I rode his ass this morning about his he prop bet Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
He bet the under on Tyler Conklin's yardage. That was one of his favorite props from last night. And I gave him a ton of shit because it was going to be he's not going to get much usage. So I texted him. The bet won. The bet won by a lot.
Yes.
I mean, it was like 1 catch for 2 yards. It was an under yardage prop. But I gave him shit because he played 43 out of 53 snaps because once Aaron Rodgers went out, they just played 3 tight ends for basically the rest of the game to protect poor Zach Wilson. So he didn't go out for many routes. I just had to ride him about the, what's this about usage there, dummy? So Congrats to Connor. Connor's given me 3 or 4 prop wins already this season. He's a great asset to 4 for 4. And yeah, you should, if you like props, that's a good Discord to be in.
Yep. We're doing it nonstop. So Move the Line, deep dive, get all your football content, all you need with us at BetSperts. So good stuff. And let's go Akshay. I mean, I don't even care about my Eric Cole or Andrew Putnam bets now. We need to get a show.
I kind of just want Akshay to win now.
Yeah, we need a show win. So
it wouldn't hurt if he was first round leader either.
We'll take it too. I'm not going to chase it there, but I'll be pulling for you. So
it's too late for me. I am sucked in. So, all right. Appreciate it, guys. We'll be back. We will do a Ryder Cup show for sure. Do we want to do it on Tuesday?
Yeah, might as well. The rest of the week gets wonky.
Wednesday's not a great day. I was going to say, and it's not like we can do it Thursday morning because when does Ryder Cup? Yeah, fucking Tuesday. I'm overcomplicating it. We'll see you guys for the Ryder Cup Tuesday show. Good luck to you, all your bets. If you have anything, obviously hit us up on Twitter. Our Twitters are on the screen. Our Twitters are in the show notes. Follow BetSports Golf, betsportsgolf.com, BetSports Golf on all socials. Follow Ron on Twitter as well at PGH Splits 101. Hit the thumbs up in the YouTube channel if you watch this. If you followed along via audio, leave us a 5-star review, and maybe I'll read it on air if you do that. Who knows? Say something nice about me or my beard, or even Ryan. I mix them up all the time. Ryan's background in his new house here. So see you guys